Hi, Matt here with Boosted Bronco Garage. I wanted to take you through one of the mods that we do that helps with the clearance that we need for the turbo tubes and the turbo on the right-hand side of the engine. So I'm going to flip the camera around here and I'll take you through it. So this is the right-hand inner fender, and this Bronco, we're probably just going to make it a mule for us to use for mocking up different things and being able to drive it around before it gets the full frame off restoration. But I wanted to show you what we do here with the inner fender. It's similar to the mod that's used for Coyotes, and for us this just provides a bit more room here. This is a Gen 1 engine, a used one that we'll use for mock-up stuff. It's got some miles on it, but there's probably a finger width of clearance in between the stock shock tower and this turbo right here, and then the spring tower as well. And so what happens is without this mod, you'd end up catching the inner fender here on the vacuum wastegate actuator for this Gen 1, or if it's a Gen 2, there's an electric wastegate actuator. So by giving that additional inch of clearance, it shifts the inner part of the inner fender over, opens up a little more space for us to have some better options for turbo tubing coming into the outlet of the turbo going to the intercooler, and then the inlet down here below. So this one doesn't have the AC compressor in place right now. Again, just as a reminder, we've got a couple of options for the power steering pump, and this one is a bracket that we use to mount a stock Ford power steering pump from prior model years, back in the 99 to 03 kind of time frame, where before electric power steering came into play. So up here to the inner fender, the lighting's a little challenging. So there's a couple of ways to manage this, and we've looked at several different ways of doing it. And for a retro build where the inner fender is already in play and on the vehicle, it makes good sense to just take an inch out here. So we used a Sawzall with kind of a shallow blade. Let me get a little better light for you there, and sliced the inner part of the inner fender off, and then we did the 2-inch cut back while it was attached, and then with a 1-inch mark, we removed an inch from this inner piece, and then that makes it a little bit easier in case you're not perfect with the Sawzall or the cutoff tool to be able to sand it off a little bit, grind it off a little bit to get it to match. So I'm getting ready to tack this one back in, and then we'll set the body down, and I'll show you the additional clearance that it provides. But again, this is the same mod the Coyote guys have to do, and this is the only thing that we require with our kit outside of everything being bolt-on. The other thing I guess that I'll mention is for our kit, we don't use the stock radiator attachments, and so these lower rad brackets come off. So I guess that's a non-bolt-on kind of thing, but the lower rad brackets and then this inner fender mod are the only modifications that we make to the body, and none to the frame. So, all right, I'll show you the finished product in just a bit. Thanks. All right, so this is a top side view. You can see it turned out pretty well. It may need a little bit of a dolly and metal finish, just because as you're welding, the weld pulls a little bit and creates a bit of a ridge, so you have to sand both sides down and be able to dolly it. So you can see here the additional room this adds for the turbo and turbo tubing. It just makes for a much cleaner installation. So last thing I wanted to mention, let me just give you a rotate on the camera, is if there's really two ways to do this. We chose to do this one on the edge because it had been installed previously, and But if you're putting in a new inner fender, obviously it's much easier to just cut off the existing lip and then fold another one down, or the fix that I've seen different shops do is they'll cut it an inch back and then take the existing lip and set it in underneath the cut, and so effectively you're getting the same thing, and then you can seam seal the edge and you accomplish the same thing. So yeah, so as far as a mock-up goes, this one's going to turn out perfect for us. The last thing that I wanted to just give you a quick heads up on is you can see on this driver's side back in here the turbo and then the vacuum wastegate actuator. If we duck down in here a little bit further, you might be able to see the steering shaft poking out. On these Gen 1 Ecoboosts, you can actually run a straight shaft all the way through and not have a problem with touching anything. So sometimes it helps to offset the steering column to slot the holes in the bracket and push it a little bit to the driver's side. But essentially you can run a straight shaft down from the column to the steering box. So that's it for today. Just wanted to update you on a couple of things. And that's it. Thanks. Signing off.